And welcome back to Atreyu News. It is Tuesday, May the 9th. Trouble in France. Why Macron might soon regret his victory. A recent analysis has listed 8 reasons why French presidential-elect Emmanuel Macron might soon regret winning the presidency over Marine Le Pen. From Zero Hedge. The confetti were still littering Paris from Macron's celebration event on Sunday night when the 39-year-old Frenchman became the youngest president in French history. And already he met with one of the biggest challenges facing his new administration, a population, mostly among the local labor unions, that is unwilling to accept any, if not all, of the proposed economic reforms, and made this abundantly clear on Monday by clashing in violent protests across Paris with the local riot police. That's not the only reason why Emmanuel Macron may find the hangover of his bitter fight with Marine Le Pen unpleasant. As the local writes, while Macron's supporters were jumping for joy at the Louvre and commentators all over the world were hailing Emmanuel Macron's victory as a triumph for liberal and centrist values, a majority of French people won't have seen it as a cause for celebration. And although Macron should be relieved, there are a few major reasons why he should stay off the campaign this week. He didn't win over the majority of the French people. In the second round, 56% of French people either abstained, cast a blank vote, or voted for Le Pen. He may have won a majority of the vote, but that doesn't make for a majority of the French people. Even in the first round vote, when French people vote with their hearts and choose the candidate they really want, Macron didn't do too spectacularly. On April 23rd, some 8.6 million people voted for Macron out of a possible of 47 million. So in reality, you could argue that only a sixth of the French voters would have Macron as their first choice, but even in the first round, he benefited from tactical voting. Many of those who voted for him aren't really behind him. Of those who did vote for him, many said they were doing so simply because he wasn't Marine Le Pen. Some 33% of respondents in a poll said they voted Macron because they were won over by the political renewal they saw in him. 16% put his policies top of the list, while 8% said his personality was the main reason they voted for him. His personality, 8%, wow, that's shocking. Le Pen is on the move too. The far right scored a record number of votes in the first round, 7.6 million, and then went and did it again in the second round, topping the $10 million mark, or $10 million mark. 10.6 million to be precise. The far right are on the upward trajectory, and Le Pen is hinting at a new rebranding and strategy in her post-results speech. To be fair to Macron, he recognized this fact in his victory speech and vowed to do everything to stop people from voting extremes. Easier said than done in a divided France suffering from unemployment. Well, it is true Macron was the favorite to win. However, Marine Le Pen gained more ground than any person on the right has for the last 70 years, including her dad, who actually made it to the second round as well, but he only got 18% of the vote. Marine Le Pen ended up with 36, I think it was. So, there is a strength rising. Unfortunately, it didn't happen this time, but perhaps next time, like Nigel Farage had mentioned. So on March, we'll have a hard time getting a majority. Macron will face a host of difficulties trying to gain a majority of seats in the parliamentary elections with such newly created party. Without that, he'll have a hard time passing the laws he wants. The Republicans are gearing up to try and gain a majority in Parliament, in which case Macron would be reduced to not much more than a figurehead of France's government. Well, I suppose that's all they wanted him for. A guy that's not super ugly, who will toe the party line. Even if On March ends up leading the party, finding another group to ally with to pass reforms will be a tough task. Macron's MPs will face 4 clear blocks of opposition from Jean-Luc Mélenchon's unbowed to whatever is left of the Socialist Party come June, to the Republicans and Marine Le Pen's far-right National Front. That's unprecedented in French politics, and on top of that, En Marche is underfinanced, and unlike the long-established parties, it doesn't have a long-standing coffer to dig into. And number 5, parts of the country rejected him. Le Pen's strongholds in the northeast held firm, gaining 57.42% of the vote in Calais and 61% in Beaumont. In the Aisne department, Le Pen came out on top in 619 out of 804 communes. Le Pen scored well on France's Mediterranean coast in the southeast, getting close to 50% in many departments, like the Var, where she gained 49%. So there still is strength in the French people and France, thank God. But in 4 years' time, will it be soon enough? Or will it be too late? Breaking. Source reveals why President Trump renegotiated NAFTA. Sources say that President Trump renegotiated NAFTA after Jared Kushner implored Canadian President, I think they mean Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau to discuss it with President Trump. From the New York Post, the personal appeal that President Trump said he received from the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau last month, leading him to renegotiate NAFTA, was only made after Trump's son-in-law and top aide Jared Kushner called Trudeau's office in Ottawa and begged him to talk some sense into the commander-in-chief, a report said. The unconventional move was revealed Monday by the National Post, who spoke to several government sources familiar with the desperate pleas from Washington. Toronto's Metro newspaper later revealed that Kushner was the government official who made the phone call. It is quite shocking to see Trump's daughter Ivanka come out and talk with Merkel about letting immigrants in and how it's important, and then you got this guy, Kushner, talking to Canada and making backdoor deals? Like, what the hell is he doing? I say fire his ass. White House advisors have been worried that Trump would scrap the North American Free Trade Agreement after he famously dubbed it the worst trade deal ever, and decided to phone the Prime Minister's office to get Trudeau to change his mind, the sources said. You never know how much of it is theater, but it didn't feel that way, a senior Canadian diplomatic source told the Post of the call between Trump's people and Trudeau's. Maybe they're just learning how to be a government, the source said. At least they were open to the conversation, and that stopped them doing something rash and destructive. According to reports, Trudeau called Trump on the night of April 26th and spoke to him about renegotiating NAFTA. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto made a similar appeal as well. I received calls from the President of Mexico and the Prime Minister of Canada asking to renegotiate NAFTA rather than terminate. Trump tweeted on April 27th, I agree, subject to the fact that if we do not reach a fair deal for all, we will then terminate NAFTA. Relationships are a good deal, very possible. Well, that's all we really wanted. Either it's fair for America or get rid of it, because we can't afford to toe the party line or the world line any longer.